I turned down the manufacturer twice, saying I'm completely tone deaf and know absolutely nothing about making music. And yet, this is the device that has me making music for the fourth week in a row. Yes, please, another interesting test is coming up because, well, to put it mildly, I had to step out of my comfort zone. I left that comfort zone far behind me because I was asked to test the guitar. Me, someone who has never made music in his life, never played guitar, never played the clarinet, never played the piano, never did anything. I never even studied music. And yet I have to test the guitar now. And it was quite difficult to convince me to do this test. Precisely because I thought that, well, let's just say I'd make a bit of a fool of myself with this. But I went for it anyway. And actually, in hindsight, I'm very happy about this. And I'll be very happy when this video is done because the pressure will be off. And from now on, I can go through the guitar lessons nice and calmly. Who knows where I'll be in a year from now? But after that long introduction, let's see exactly what this is all about. And well, I don't really want to deal with the unboxing now because you don't really get much with the guitar. You get a manual, a USB cable, and 3 picks. But the main thing is this, the guitar. Because this is a guitar, an electric guitar, which is actually not a guitar, but a MIDI controller. And a MIDI controller means that you can actually play guitar with it, but if you want, you can also play the piano with it or play other instruments just by plucking its strings. But before I tell you exactly what this device can do, I'd rather start with the exterior because that's perhaps one of the most interesting parts of this thing. So it looks like, well, it's a guitar-shaped device that consists of 2 parts. It has the neck and it has the body itself. And the two are simply separable. If I press this button, it can be taken apart and then it fits in a small space. You can even take it with you in a backpack. But perhaps that's not the most important or interesting part of this guitar, but the strings, or rather the lack of strings, because while you'll find 6 strings on this part, here on this part, there isn't a single one. Instead of strings, there are these silicone strips placed here. Under the silicone strips, there are sensors that detect which string you're holding down and where your hand is. This has the significant advantage that your fingers do not get tired from holding down the strings for long periods. Since I have never personally played guitar myself, I cannot tell you exactly how tired my fingers would get otherwise, but I have watched several videos about it online, and indeed, those who started playing guitar usually complained that their fingers get tired very quickly and they develop large, tough calluses on their fingertips because you have to press these metal strings with considerable force in the correct place, and that, as you can imagine, can be quite challenging and even painful for beginners. Tires your hand and, well, it also ruins your skin. This is one of the huge advantages of this guitar, that your hand doesn't get tired, or more precisely, your hand doesn't get tired the way it does with regular strings, because you still have to get used to how to hold your hand, how your fingers should be positioned, and this is certainly, if you haven't played guitar before, a bit of a strange hand position, to put it mildly, and the muscles in your hand get tense, and that can also make you tired. But that's only one part of the fatigue, because you can forget about the other part since there are no normal strings on this guitar. But it does have buttons on it here and up here. And these buttons are for selecting which instrument you want to play with the middle button, and with the 2 outer ones, the capo, if I'm saying it right, I hope I'm saying it right, you can set the position of the capo on the guitar. To be honest, I had no idea what this capo was that you have to place on the guitar, so I had to look that up too. And it turned out that I've seen something like it at concerts. It's that little clip-on thing that they clip onto the guitar strings, and with that they hold down the string at certain points. So with these buttons, you can set where you hold down the string with the virtual capo. To stay on the topic of the neck, I need to talk about one more thing, and that's these LEDs that are here on the side. For that, I need to turn on the guitar. These are very useful LEDs here on the side because, for one thing, they show what instrument we're playing, and the instruments, as I said, I can select here. And on the other hand, they show where I'm holding down the string. So if I'm not sure that my hand is in the right place, And well, this unfortunately happens with beginners. Then you can see that where I hold the string, the LED lights up brighter. So I just have to glance to the side. And if I look to the side, I can see if my hand is in the right place. So this is really cool. I really like this about it. It's a really useful thing. By the way, we can find connectors up here on this part. There's a headphone and a microphone jack. The headphone jack is, again, very useful for me because, well, I played pretty badly and, well, I don't want to annoy my family with what I'm doing. There's a standard headphone jack located right here, and there are actually two distinct buttons present on it. With one of these buttons, I'm able to turn on the guitar itself. And I can also conveniently control the volume using this same button because the guitar is equipped with a built-in 30-watt speaker that is housed in this particular part of the instrument. So you really don't need to use an external amplifier or any additional equipment at all. When the guitar is turned on, then the sound comes through the speaker and you don't need an external speaker for it. By the way, you can play this guitar for several hours without any kind of power connection because, of course, it also has a battery, so that's not a problem. There's also a connector on the bottom of the guitar, right here in this section. Here we find the usual line connector through which you can output the sound to, say, your computer or a mixing board, and you'll also find a USB-C connector, which you can use to charge the guitar. And of course, since it's a MIDI device, you can use it to connect to your computer. So, well, that's pretty much it. As for the exterior of the guitar, I should also mention that, well, as you can see, it's a completely guitar-shaped guitar. So from a distance, it's deceptive. You think it's a real guitar. As I said, the strings are only down here. These two small covers are attached magnetically and can be easily removed. And well, you have to remove this in some cases to be able to change the strings, and for tuning there are screws here. By the way, we also get a small tool in the package for this, which we can use to do the tuning. So that's the device. And well, now comes the part about the application. Then we'll dive a bit into how to use it. I'll show you what instruments I can emulate with it. And at the end, I'll talk about what it was like to use. Okay, so let's continue with the application. There's an application for it that runs on both Android and iOS. I use it on Android, and well, this application is definitely necessary to take advantage of all the capabilities of this instrument. Although you can adjust most things with the buttons here, the application is definitely better. So let's take a look at the program itself. On the left side, we have 4 tabs to choose from. The top one is for the guitar settings, the second one is for songs, as you can see, the third is the tutorial, and the fourth is for your own settings. On the first tab, you can see the instruments here on the left. We have quite a few types of instruments we can try, from piano and bass guitar to classical guitar, and there's a pop electric guitar, a country electric guitar, and an acoustic guitar with a pick, and also finger picked. So there's a lot of stuff. To be honest, I use very few things from this application because I simply don't need to. That's not a problem. In fact, it's great because it will be quite difficult to outgrow this guitar since you can adjust a lot of things on it, the chords, for example, but there is also a rhythm accompaniment if you need it. I've obviously listened to them because they sound really good, but I don't use them because I don't need to. So it has things like these, but I don't really use them for now. I haven't really dealt with the songs yet. There are a lot of songs, and here you can see with different difficulty levels what songs you can choose from. There are also different styles. To be honest, this is still a bit much for me, but I'll tell you why in a moment because we're moving on to the tutorial section. In teaching, as I've noticed, they usually approach it in 2 ways for absolute beginners. One says that rhythm is very important, the other says that chords are very important, and the tutorial programs are essentially divided in 2. So there's one that deals with chords and the other one more with rhythm. The one with the rhythm is a bit more interactive. You have to strum quite a lot, and there are courses that build on each other, so the same song sounds more and more complicated on the guitar. On the other hand, where they deal with chords, they teach the chords first, and well, this program is based more on chords. So actually, this is really cool because there's no cable connection, but the program detects via Bluetooth which string you're holding down, for example, with a G chord. You can see in the program which string you're holding and whether you're holding that string correctly if you've held it down right, and that's a very big help. This program has a lot of video tutorials that try to teach you the technique, how to hold the guitar, how it should be positioned relative to your body, how your hand should be, how your fingers should be, how relaxed they should be, how much space should be between your fingers. So it deals with things like that, and again, that's very good. The only problem is that the video is only in English, which means that if you don't speak English, you won't really understand what it's about. The other type of tutorial programs where strumming and rhythm are more important and they focus on that, there's usually a bit less video or none at all, but rather they try to teach you to find the right string to strum and to strum the string in the right rhythm because, well, that's not easy either. So let's just say that these are not easy things. So if you decide to learn guitar, then try both methods, the chords and the rhythm, and well, you'll see which one is more suitable for you. Since we're on the topic of the program, let's move on, and I'll show you a few instruments and how they sound on this guitar. Let's get into it. Well, now I'll show you what instruments there are. More precisely, I'm going to show you 3 instruments: an acoustic guitar, a bass guitar, and a piano, because you can also play the piano on this guitar. I apologize in advance because I'm still a complete beginner and I'm absolutely not okay with the rhythm, but I'll try to strum a little for you just so you can see, so you can hear what this device sounds like. And let's start with, say, an acoustic guitar. I have the song, I'll select the guitar. Fingerpick, I specifically chose a fingerpick guitar for this piece. And so, let's begin and start playing with this song together. Okay, that's enough of that. You heard it sound, so we can move on to the next instrument, which is going to be a bass guitar, and you're going to hear a very well-known riff, which I think is one of the first things every beginner guitarist learns, because it's very easy. That's about it. And we can move on to the next song, which I'll play on the piano, just a few notes really. So I'm just going to play a few notes. I think this will be a familiar song for many of you as well. Well, that's about it. I think everyone recognized it, but if not, that was Aerosmith, of course. So the point of this whole thing is that this guitar is actually a very versatile and multi-purpose instrument. And you can emulate a lot of different instruments with it, which is great because you can choose what you want to work with depending on the musical style. Also, these tutorial programs I'm using provide the opportunity to practice on different instruments. So if you really want to, you can use a picked guitar, a simple finger-picked guitar, an electric pop guitar, so you have the opportunity for all sorts of other things. Okay, well, I think we've pretty much gone over everything since I've talked about the guitar, its controls, the application, and I've also shown you how the guitar works. So now I'd like to say a few words about where I am now and, well, what it was like to use this guitar. I'll start by saying that this guitar arrived less than 4 weeks ago. And as I said, I've never in my life held any musical instrument. I haven't played anything. I haven't tried anything. I haven't played the drums. I haven't played the guitar. I haven't played the piano. I have no musical background either. It's just that I like good music, but I think that's hardly enough for someone to be able to play music properly. It never even occurred to me before that I could play the guitar, and actually, this whole thing is still a bit shaky because I'm not 100% sure that I'll be able to reach the level where I can play music, play the guitar in a listenable way, but I'm going to try. I'm definitely going to try, because honestly, this thing has sucked me in. And with this instrument, with this guitar, it's really very easy to play, and there are very good online tutorial programs for it. And the application that comes with the guitar is also very good. So really, everything is in place for someone to learn to play the guitar. It's completely obvious that if you really get into it and you think that you can play the guitar very, very well, then sooner or later you'll switch to a completely normal, real stringed guitar. But until then, while you're just playing for yourself, while you're learning how to use the guitar, this device will be more than enough. So for my part, instead of an acoustic guitar, I would definitely buy this tech gadget because I really liked it. Okay, well, I've said everything, and I can't tell you whether this video will have a sequel or not, but it could very well be that it will, because if I have enough free time and patience, I will continue to practice. And it's possible that I'll be back with another video later on, where I'll show you where I'm at and what this guitar can be used for at that level. Until then, if you liked this video, subscribe to the channel, like it, and maybe check out one of the other videos appearing next to me. Be good, take care of yourselves, and I'll be back next week with another test. Until then, bye.